Blue Jays are extra blue after the Twins take 2 of 3 over the weekend, but game 2 saw some bullpen issues that were eerily reminiscent to the Mariners series. So we'll talk about all that, and we'll look forward not only to Monday's off day, but the Yankees are coming to town. This is Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello again. It's Locked On Twins, and I'm your host, Brandon Warren, and you can unfollow me on Twitter at Brandon_WARNE. And joining me, as he usually does, is Mr. Dave Brown at Answer Dave Brown on the tweets. What's up?
Brandon, I'm not sure what to do with myself. There's no Twins baseball today.
Don't know what to do with my hands. It's confusing. Actually, I'm going to do with my hands what you were doing with your hands before this, which is work in the yard. Nothing too sketchy there. Whoa, what happened to the thumb there? I see you giving us a little.
Oh, yeah. Where is it? Here.
Hey.
I don't know. It keeps popping out of the joint, so that's not good. I don't know. I don't remember doing anything. It could just be repeated action, maybe from yard work. So, be careful when you go out there. It's a dangerous world for your thumbs.
Yeah, I'd give you a thumbs down, but I think that would be in poor taste. So thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. Yes, you, Dave Brown, but also our listeners. And let people know we're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube. We love hanging out with you guys on YouTube on the live premieres and all that fun stuff. And if you're watching us on there, give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Or if you're listening on any audio platform, again, 5-star reviews are huge for us. We appreciate that very much. And you know that we're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use all lowercase LockedOnMLB as your promo code for a first deposit match up to $100. Also, Twins are idle on Monday, idle hands. Again, I probably shouldn't go back to hands and thumbs and jokes, but Twins have some idle hands today because they are off on Monday, but the Yankees will be in town starting Tuesday to face the Twins. It's going to be Rodon taking on Mr. Chris Paddock, and it is a 6:40 first pitch at Target Field. So if you want to listen to Chris and I said Chris and Danny over the weekend. I said maybe Paul Molitor. It was Paul Molitor, and Paul Molitor was great. I love listening to him on the radio. Did you catch any of his radio broadcasts this weekend?
I didn't. I do enjoy listening to Molitor, and now I'm kind of kicking myself for not doing that. We should have known it was Molitor because it was the Blue Jays. So yeah. That's, give him reason to go to Toronto where he won. He won 2 World Series or just one, but
I think he was the DH in 93.
He's in 93. Was he in 92?
Winfield was the DH in 92 and then signed with the Twins in 93.
Well, they love them some Minneapolis St. Paul high school longtime guys, don't they?
And then Molitor signed with the Twins in 95.
Okay.
I think that's how that went. So, yeah. Or no, 96. It was 96. He signed in 96 because it was the year Puckett retired because he and Puckett were supposed to play together and didn't. Kirby came down with so he got hit in the face by the fastball from Dennis Martinez to end his 95 season.
Right.
96, the glaucoma came up. He ends up retiring in July, and that was going to be people were, I guess, I was 10, so I didn't really understand the level of excitement, but with Kirby, Knobloch, and Molitor, people thought, hey, this could be a decent ball club. And they actually weren't that bad. They might have won like 78 games, but
right.
When Kirby Puckett comes down with glaucoma and retires mid-season, that can bring down the vibes, you might say.
Was that so? I never quite sustained this memory. Getting hit in the face with the pitch and the glaucoma, unrelated?
Yeah, I think it was actually opposite side because, as a right-handed hitter, it's the left eye, left wherever. And I think it was actually the right eye. So it never, I think back then I kind of just assumed it was. Right. And then, maturing is realizing that it's 2 separate sides of the face. Though with that said, I mean, if you have a screw loose, you could have it knocked from either side, but I don't think that's at play here.
Is that a medical diagnosis?
Yeah, I think so. We don't have any medical sponsors, so I don't think I'm stepping on any toes there. But
sometimes you do Jace Case.
That's true, but it's been a while.
Yeah, come back, Jace Case. We like you.
Please, we miss you. Yeah. So no. In fact, my mom said she was glad she wasn't letting me watch that night either, because Kirby got hit and he was down in a pool of blood, and that was the end of his big league career. Thank you, Dennis Martinez.
I'm sure. I'm almost sure that Dennis didn't mean it.
Oh no, I'm sure not. No, El Presidente. Yeah. So Yankees come into town. It's gonna be Paddock, Rodon, Lopez, Stroman, Ryan, and Clark Schmidt. So that should be a fun one. But we should probably talk Twins, Jays first. Game 2 was the ugly one, a 10-8 loss. I watched it on my phone as we were doing my daughter's seventh birthday party. And so that was an exhausting day for more reasons than just that. Again, and it kind of comes back to something that a lot of people have been asking, or I'll get texts about during games, is there a bullpen crisis? Is there a bullpen concern? I think what this comes back to is not an unusual dynamic, but that teams' bullpens, when they're either 1, behind in a game, or 2, all used up, it's gonna expose what might be a soft underbelly on an otherwise actually pretty dang good bullpen.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the Twins bullpen has been overused. I think, it seems to me like Rocco has kind of gone out of his way to not overuse it. However, there is one side that it's hard to quantify the guys who get warmed up a lot and then don't come in. Like I think that's happened with Cole Sands a lot.
I was shocked he pitched again after it was like 3 days in a row with a dry hump pitching, right?
And then his command was nowhere.
Right.
So I guess we shouldn't be necessarily surprised at that. I don't know. I'm looking at bullpen usage. Let me see here. I mean, since the start of the season, the Twins bullpen has pitched 141 innings, which is very median. It's right in the middle.
Yep.
The Braves and the Phillies are the least used bullpens at 121 and 123. It's not an insignificant difference, but teams like Milwaukee, 158, the Rays, typical for them, 158, the Cubs, 159, Dodgers, 162. That might be, I don't know if that's a surprise, but they've had a lot of injuries too. So
Dodgers also have they still played more games than everybody else?
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, 386. So the Dodgers are 8th in innings pitched per game by relievers. Twins are 18th, 3.54. And the decimals get weird to me when you do innings, because 3.2 innings in one context and 3.2 innings in another context mean different things, but it's for ease of understanding. But by comparison, the Dodgers are, while they have 162 innings, they're at 386, so roughly the same as the Rays, who have played at 1-2 less games. So
I guess have the Twins overuse their bullpen? I don't think so. I'm not 100% sure. I do know that since May 1st, they have the second worst bullpen ERA in the majors. I didn't break it down to any other arbitrary days, like is it worse since May 5th, or is it really since late April, since it's been bad? But the Twins bullpen ERA is over 7 in that span.
For context, it's 3.75. So it is very much a tale of two cities from April and May.
For sure. So has the bullpen been overused? I don't know. Is the bullpen performing as well as it did in the first month of the season? No, for sure. And it's been plain. I think that they've missed Brock Stewart.
Yep.
But also, I kind of thought maybe they would have the depth to cover that for a little while, maybe not for 6 weeks or whatever, but more than they have. Jax has been lax a little bit.
Has Jax been off, in your opinion? You wanted to say it and you didn't.
And there was a reason for that.
Okay.
Brandon.
Yeah, well. It's not Mother's Day anymore. We can go back to being a little.
It's not Mother's Day anymore, so we can make the innuendo and the sure.
It's not like Memorial Day or Labor Day where it bleeds into the Monday, or even Easter for that matter.
They ask us. They jax us. They ask us to not make those kinds of statements. We don't want to swear or imply anything. There could be kids listening at home. People could be driving around their cars, and we are a family-friendly blog.
I should maybe take down the graphic too then, because next to the opener it says some inappropriate stuff too.
Does it? I didn't even look over there. I'm afraid to. So here's what I think.
Yeah.
I think Rocco needs to press the starters to go a little bit more. And he's done that in a few spots.
Yeah, Ober threw over 100 pitches.
He did. I mean, he needs to do stuff like that. I think that was the right move. I don't think it's smart to do much more than that.
Oh, Ober though was also the pitcher of record, or when the things went sideways. When I believe he started the game that the Mariners came back, because we were all talking about how Ober should have pitched longer. So it's because I think he threw like 84 pitches, and everybody's like, well, if your bullpen's taxed, why not stick with him longer? And I think that there was some interesting parallel structure there.
I also think, and again, I've never played a manager even on TV.
Yeah,
but Rocco's made some decisions with the bullpen, like yesterday. Funderburk pitched a second inning. That was something that maybe Rocco should be thinking about doing more often with other guys in other situations. That worked out. And actually Funderburk's stuff looked as good as it has all season. So that was a huge kind of turnaround. The bullpen really needed that as well. It needed that as much as it needed any good long starting performance to get late in the game. So are things going as 5-by-5 as much as they were before? Absolutely not. Is it a crisis, or is there something to, they're still, what have they won, 18 out of 21 or something? So
17 of 20 is the data point everybody's pointing back to, but I think you're right. Yeah, 3 losses in 21 is pretty darn good. Hey,
things are going great, generally speaking.
Yeah, and people are mixing that with the Wolves having a tough game against Denver, and so the takes are flying.
There's a lot of psychic damage in the Minnesota sports fanhood. Yeah. The Twins winning the World Series is now a really long time ago. I remember it, but I'm and I'm not from Minnesota, so
no comment. We are going to take a quick break and give some love to Policygenius. When we come back, I do have another thought about the bullpen that came up while you were talking, but I do want to give some. I want to take our mandated station break, so to speak, and then I have some questions about the lineup. I have a little bit of discussion about how the J Series went, what we're looking for against the Yankees, and also a look at the rest of the division. So again, a word from Policygenius. I think we all are aware of how important it is to have a financial safety net for your family, especially if you have two parents working and providing for the kids on a regular, full-time basis. I know that if I or my wife were to fall out of the picture, it would be very, very difficult. And so that's why, life insurance is a huge deal. Policygenius wants to be there for you in that instance. And it's hard to find the right policy, though. It's time consuming. It's overwhelming. And with Policygenius, you can find life insurance policies starting at just $292 per year for $1 million worth of coverage. Now, some options will give you same-day approval even, and help you avoid unnecessary medical exams. Now, for me, life insurance, I've had it for quite a while. I had someone pull me aside in my early 20s and say, listen, you got to have life insurance. You got to have this. You got to have that. And it actually really has been good for me. I've had it for almost 20 years now. And as a parent, again, too, you want to take care of your kids in any event, whether you're here or not. This will help. Policygenius will help you compare your options from top companies, and their licensed experts will be there for you. They're on hand to help you talk through every option. Even, if you have it through your work, maybe it doesn't cover quite as much as you think, or worse yet, if you leave your job, it might just be gone. So you want to make sure that you're covered no matter what. Policygenius will give you unbiased advice. They don't have any specific agenda to push. They're not trying to sell you one thing or another. Their licensed expert support team will be there no matter what to help you out. They have no incentive to recommend one insurer over another. And they have thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot. So you know that you can trust them. So check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policygenius. Head to policygenius.com/LockedOnMLB or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/LockedOnMLB. Dave, you brought up a good point, one that I really liked about multi-inning relief work. I think another school of thought that could happen in baseball, maybe it's happening somewhere and I'm not noticing it. Maybe it hasn't and could catch on. But the rebirth of a 2-inning reliever, where, if you need to patch together 4 innings after a 5-and-dive start, you may have 4 guys whose first time through the order will be better than what that starter's third time would have been. But if you go 2 innings and 2 innings instead of 1-1-1-1, you get more continuity from the standpoint of if a guy has it or doesn't have it on a given day.
Yes.
And you're still only most likely facing the lineup one time through. So I often wonder, maybe it would be easier. You have a bullpen with 8 guys in it. These 2 guys this day, these 2 guys the next day, if things are going well. Obviously with bullpens, it's fluid. But, if you have Jax for 2 innings and Stewart for 1 and Duran for 1, that's a lot different than going Jax, Thielbar, Stewart, Duran, and then all 4 of those guys are questionable for the next day's availability. I don't know. I think there could be some strategic benefit to changing it up a little bit.
I am not privy to any data that might suggest, well, what happens when a pitcher comes into a game and they get a couple outs or 1 out or whatever, and then they sit for an inning and they come back? Is there something bad about that? I don't know.
Right.
Maybe that's where it starts. But I the thought of getting a guy out of there after 1 inning and all that. I think you in this day and age of Major League Baseball, with starters going shorter and shorter, basically, if you get a guy to the 5th inning, you consider it a good day at the office anymore. I don't know if you plan on winning a lot, if you can have it both ways, where you have.
I don't think you could. I think you're right.
I don't like the idea of my starting pitcher facing a team a 3rd time too. Okay, well, we wouldn't be doing that in the bullpen. We would be facing, basically half the line. You wouldn't be facing a bunch of batters a 2nd time. You'd be facing new batters. I think you need to take advantage of that. And, even if it's a 1/3 of an inning or 2/3 of an inning, if Jax went 1 2/3 and Duran went 1 2/3, that gets you into a 3rd inning of relief. It's a corner worth cutting if you want to look at it like that. It's a shortcut to keeping your better pitchers in the game and not necessarily overusing them. Even going back to like Lee Smith, but certainly Raleigh Fingers, Goose Gossage era, relief pitchers would pitch 3 innings. Closers would pitch the 7th, 8th, and 9th, or some kind of combination therein. We're not asking anybody to do that. I think it is, that is a way to shorten the game without taxing your pitchers and making safe moves and not going to relief pitchers who you really don't trust.
Yeah.
And it's, if you just kind of, and if you also avoid the dry humping, if you will.
Yep. I won't, but they will.
Right. That's another way to keep guys fresh. And I don't know if that's what's going on with Cole Sands. I suspect it might be. Mm-hmm. But avoid dry humping and give 4, 5, maybe 6 outs sometimes to relief pitchers. And that will extend, if you've got you don't want to tax the starting pitchers. I don't think you would tax the relief pitchers if you went that way either.
Especially if getting them hot multiple times in a series, whatnot, that sort of thing. If you want to know how broken my brain is, though, when I was a kid, speaking of Raleigh Fingers, we had a Schnauzer when I was a kid, and I would take her.
Raleigh Fingers does look like a Schnauzer, doesn't he?
Well, I would take her not whiskers, but her little beard, and I would kind of curl it up and then call her Cookie Fingers because she looked like Raleigh Fingers. Yeah, he does kind of look like a human schnauzer, which I was gonna say, is he the one that has all the bad opinions? But no, that's Goose Gossage.
That's
right?
Goose Gossage. I did hear Raleigh Fingers. He said to me once that he doesn't really like baseball that much anymore. So he does have a little goose in him, at least according to my confirmation bias, like a little interview that I had with him once. He's not real excited about talking about it that much unless he's getting paid. But maybe once you get to be 75, you let an old man have his opinions.
Yeah, right. Just try to get to 75. What's your concern level with each of these three relievers? We'll go over this and then we'll hit another break. Jay Jackson, Stephen Okert, Caleb Thielbar. Because to me, I said them that order for a reason. I did see someone tweet that they think Caleb Thielbar might be cooked. I'm not ready to say that yet. But I do have some concern about Jay Jackson. I do have some concern about Stephen Okert now suddenly not being able to get anybody out. Those two guys I'm a little more concerned about than Thielbar.
Right. I'm not sure. Thielbar, didn't he run off a bunch of scoreless or, problemless stints in a row? I know he's had a couple.
He had at least a couple that were really good, like vintage Caleb Thielbar. And
Right.
he started slow before. In fact, I think last year, maybe not to this extent, and certainly last year's a little different comparatively because of him missing time with an injury, which I think too buys him more consideration.
Right.
But it's, the Twins made a mistake one time. They cut Craig Breslow, and not that Craig Breslow is Caleb Thielbar, although there are some obvious similarities. And then Thielbar went on to be, Breslow went on to have a nice rest of the season, and then, just kind of did his thing. But with that said, I don't think he's anywhere near as in question for a roster spot or whatever as Jackson. I think he's at the top of that list. He's barely making over minimum. He's on a 1-year deal. With Okert, at least they have the equity of trading Nick Gordon for him. And by the way, don't go look at Nick Gordon's numbers because I'll make you sad.
Right. I think if you look at Thielbar's percentile rankings on Savant, on StatCast, they're not bad. Okert's aren't. They're kind of uneven. So if you're looking for indicators of, how are they pitching beyond a ERA or inherited runners or that kind of thing. So it's and even Jay Jackson, 72nd percentile in whiff percentage. So he's still doing something right.
And if he pitches when you're down, that's just kind of what the deal is. You're not going to throw guys like Topa and Jax when you're down. You need people to throw those innings.
No, you asked about concern for relief pitching. I hope Topa is not. He's been getting pushed back and back and back, and I think
they haven't pulled him off his rehab yet, but that's got to be coming soon because you only get 30 days.
Right. It seems like it's a lower body injury to quote our friends in hockey. So I think it's still his knee that has been giving him problems. But
which is tricky. Knees are tricky.
But I think also his fastball has been down a little bit. But we've been hearing it's because of his knee. So I don't know. I have a little more concern about him. I think just because they were counting on him for some higher leverage. I think. Thielbar, it's a long season, and they just especially the left-handers, they haven't pitched enough for me to say, Jackson, but I think if Jackson continues to struggle, there are people that can replace him. So I think less so with the left-handers. I think those guys there's a little more premium and a little more, they have a little more invested.
I would say June 1 is a soft date for Jackson as far as, kind of turning things around. Hey, let's take a quick pause. We do have to give a shout to our friends over at PrizePicks. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up after that. But again, as I said, first a word for PrizePicks. PrizePicks is North America's largest DFS platform. It's also easy and exciting because you pick higher or lower, more than or less than, on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch your winnings roll in. You don't have to nudge out other people like you're boxing out under the basket. And if you're Rudy Gobert getting fouls called against you instead of Nikola Jokic. I'm not bitter, but let's keep moving. And the app also has a feature called Demons and Goblins. Demon picks are in red. They're a little riskier. They'll get your heart going. But again, they have accelerators. So you can, for instance, put down $10 and win 1,000. Again, risky, but the payoff is quite large if you can find a bet that works for you. If you're cautious, the Goblin picks are for you. Those are green. They keep you in the green. They keep you rolling in the green, obviously, as you can get more and more consistent victories, but at a lower percentage. So pick your lane and stick with it. NBA stuff, you can do more than or less than on three-pointers. You can do it with all kinds of different things in baseball, which, that's kind of the stat capital of the sports landscape. And now Baseball Savant coming out with swing length, swing speed, or bat speed, rather. We got a lot of more data to sift through and for people to misinterpret and use sliders from Baseball Savant to push their agendas, which it is what it is. Anyway, download the app today. That's the PrizePicks app. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get a first deposit match up to $100. Again, LOCKEDONMLB, all one word, all lowercase. You'll get that first deposit match up to $100. Join PrizePicks today. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. And so we're coming down the home stretch here quickly around the affiliates. St. Paul off today. They have Omaha this week starting Tuesday morning. And they've won 3 of the last 5. No pitchers announced yet. Wichita is 13-19. They split a 6-gamer with Arkansas, including winning 11-1 on Sunday. They have Pearson Oles slated to go on Tuesday in the opener. Cedar Rapids 18-14. They've got Quad Cities next, a former Twins affiliate. They split a 6-gamer with South Bend over the last week, and they won 4-2 on Mother's Day. Fort Myers has Lakeland starting Tuesday, so in Lakeland, 13-20 for your Mighty Muscles. They took 4 of 6 from Dunedin over the last week, but lost on Sunday. So reduce the fraction, and it's also 2 of 3 from a Blue Jays affiliate. And around the division, Guardians about to open a 3-gamer with the Rangers in Texas. It's Bybee and Lorenzen. The Guardians lost 3 of 4 over the weekend to the White Sox, believe it or not, but did win the finale 7-0 on Sunday. Your Twins, 24-16, a half game out, have the Yankees. The Royals are also a half game out, 1 game off the Twins in each win and loss column. They got 3 of 4 over the Angels over the weekend. They will face the Mariners next. Is Brady Singer against George Kirby on Monday, which is going to be a fun one. Tigers 20-20, 4.5 back. They have the Marlins at home. They're 2-7 in their last 9 and dropped 2 of 3 to the Astros over the weekend. It's going to be Sixto Sanchez and Matt Manning in the opener. And the White Sox 12-29, 13 games out, more games out than they've won. They got a 3-gamer with the Nationals, which is going to be a really goofy series. Trevor Williams against Chris Flexen. But to get to this point, the White Sox have won 4 of their last 5. And if you don't know the story of Gabriel Silva and his role in the 4-game winning streak, you don't have to talk. Just go look it up. It's hysterical.
Or don't. Yeah, the White Sox, to their credit, have abandoned the ridiculously bad baseball for something better than that. I'm surprised, but they've helped the Twins out here, I think, by beating the Guardians.
So there's some rotation goofiness. Twins first in strikeouts per 9 and walks per 9, 19th in ERA and hits per 9, and 28th in home runs per 9. Is their problem as simple as, hey, let's fix the sequencing, not give up as many homers, and this rotation is going to go from pretty dang good to elite?
I don't know if it's true, but I remember a young man named Alex Fernandez. Do you remember Alex Fernandez? Pitched for the Marlins. And when he came up with the White Sox, he had a theory, an ethos, if you will, that I'm going to give up solo home runs. If I'm going to try and make my pitch, and if they get me with a solo home run, so be it. So as long as the Twins aren't giving up too many 3-run homers, I'm okay with it. And in this day and age of home runs, you're going to give up a lot of home runs. Alex Fernandez's day, they actually didn't give up as many home runs as they do now. And I think Fernandez's thought was kind of like Tom Seaver. Tom Seaver wasn't afraid to throw strikes. When you get nitpicky and going for a strikeout is fine, but if you're trying to, you need to work all the sides of the plate. I think that's the biggest thing about pitches, even when you throw 97 miles an hour. What?
Yeah, falling behind 2-0 versus even 1-1 is a big difference.
So I'm not worried about that, and I think it's okay to. I mean, you give up too many home runs, you got a problem. But in general, as long as it's not like way ahead of the league or behind, if you will, I think it's okay.
Not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but is there any chance on Friday in Cleveland you would see David Festa start over Simeon Woods Richardson?
I know he's been getting his walks down. I saw some stats on that his overall stats have been great. Started out walking way too many guys, and now it's not so many guys. So he's cut his walk rate in his last few starts. I think
sounds like a thumbs up.
Well, not this thumb.
Okay.
I think they're gonna. I mean, Simeon Woods Richardson his last start kind of unraveled there.
It feels very unsustainable. Like he's pitching okay, but it's not going to stick.
I don't know. I think what it is, if I may differ, I think it's going to be more on the side of inconsistent than unsustainable. I think you're going to get some good, and then you're going to get some bad.
Like any rookie, though.
Yeah, like a rookie, and he is a fifth starter in that context. So, I think it depends on how hard you want to worry about the bullpen. Is it going to be bad where, you're not going to be in games? Is it going to be something where it's going to be taxing the bullpen? That's when you start to worry about making a change. I think you don't, if you think Festa can come up and be a lot better than Simeon Woods Richardson, then that's one thing. I'm not sure if we're there yet.
Edouard Julien does not have an extra base hit in his last 14 games, but does have a 333 on base. Any chance you'd consider moving him down in the order to get him going? And if so, who do you put at the top?
No.
Okay.
I like the way Edouard works the pitchers, and he's capable of working walks. And I think this is just a consequence of how he bats. He's going to go through periods like this, and I think we should be as patient as he is.
Okay. Well, hey, thanks for your efforts today, Dave Brown. This is Brandon Warren. He's Dave Brown signing off, saying thank you so much for listening to Locked On Twins, and we'll see you tomorrow.